Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Rob Simonds. I'm the board president of the Downtown Chamber Series, and I'm joined today for an upcoming concert with Peter, Judith, and David. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, Rob.
You're joining us today from New Mexico and in the Chatter Chamber Music Series in Albuquerque. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about how you guys play together, how you guys came together as an ensemble.
Well, David, do you want to talk about Chatter a little and how we?
Yeah, Chatter. Well, we put on two performances per week, one in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and one in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Saturday and Sunday morning. Started off as a Sunday morning only series. We've expanded to Santa Fe, and we also do once a month late night concert. We do 5 times a year late afternoon concert. So we put on actually about 120 performances throughout the year, and the majority of the performances are by local musicians, but we also do welcome out-of-towners or out-of-towners to mix with the locals, and which is always really fun. But yeah, we're just a machine.
I like to tell, I had the good fortune of playing there a couple times in years past.
I remember.
And I tell
Beautiful.
folks that that Chatter is like Downtown Chamber Series on steroids, and the amount of repertoire
Yeah.
you guys do, the amount, and I want to get to that, the eclecticism of the repertoire you get to. I would like to hear a little bit more about how you three came together as a group, though.
Well, at a Chatter performance about, let's see, 3 years ago, we performed the Ligeti Hamburg Concerto, which is for solo horn. I played the solo horn part, and David conducted. And we had about 20 people, 25 people?
About 20, yeah.
20 people on stage along with myself. And at the end of that concert, David says, "Hey, we should do the trio." So we took about a year to schedule that and to learn it, because it's really an incredibly complex piece, as is the Hamburg Concerto, but in different ways. And then got together. And I know it took me all that time, good solid 12 months, to figure out how to blow these really intense notes.
Right.
Judy has some thoughts on that too.
Well, I was in the audience for the Hamburg Concerto, so I think I might have even overheard that exchange, and I was like, "I'll do it."
Well, I think it's a piece that I think a lot of us who play these instruments it sort of is up there at the Mount Everest of things to play. And so, as you guys alluded to, this is like one of the heaviest lifts in chamber music. And I like to tell people that Ligeti is kind of like the most famous composer you know, but you don't know him by name, because of all the movies and soundtracks his music has been included in, and of course the influence he's had on film composers as well. I wonder if you could say, given that this is one of the great concert works, though, how do you guys see this trio fitting into his larger output?
Well, I think the piece, he dedicated it to Brahms. And of course, Brahms wrote probably the most famous work for this combination, which we won't be playing on this concert, the Brahms trio. And I don't think that this work is really a direct reference to that one. It doesn't really match in any way form-wise. But as a horn player, I think of Ligeti's relationship to Brahms's thinking about the horn. And Brahms was pretty old-fashioned about the horn. He did not like the valve horn at all. He was a strong proponent of the natural horn, so a horn without any valves, changing the notes only with your lips, and using your hand to close the bell to make different sounds occur. So Ligeti writes in a language that uses the natural harmonic series available on the modern horn in a way that I think recalls how Brahms thought about the sound of the horn. That would I'd need a whiteboard and about half an hour to explain what I'm really talking about, but I'll try and talk a little about that during our concert too, but not too much.
Judith, pianistically, how does it fit into the repertoire?
I mean, I would just say that, like all great chamber music, what's really interesting is how the instruments are talking to each other. And so for me, the excitement of playing this piece is not so much about the drama of the difficulty, but the way that the piano acts on the other instruments and just the dynamism of the conversation is incredibly exciting. I actually think our whole program has a lot to say about that, how the piano functions with others so beautifully. So it's fantastic how the piano is in this piece. It's often a little bit of like a big frame, and the other sounds kind of moving in and out of it, and it acts as an amplifier and as a kind of boundary. I mean, it's fun. It's really fun.
And David, from a fiddle player's perspective, how does it lie? Any particular challenges for the violinist?
Yeah, it's all over the place. Rhythmic challenges. The final movement, is just a lamenting movement. However, the big melody at the end is done on the violin at the very height of at the very top, with extremely high playing and trying to sing up there. You know how it is when you get up there, any wrong move, and you're just, it's like changes the note. So really challenging. Also challenging. I love to put attention to the third movement. Judy and I play this march together at the very beginning. However, 1/3 of the way through, we become displaced by a 16th note. However, we're playing the same rhythm. And then in another few measures, we're displaced by an 8th note, and then another few measures displaced by a dotted 8th note. And it reminds me, I just played Violin Phase by Steve Reich a couple of months ago, and that whole idea of displacement, you almost have to disassociate yourself from the piano. So once I start moving like a 16th note away, I have to have my own internal rhythm. It's really challenging, even though we're playing the exact same rhythm, just a 16th note apart, and then an 8th note apart, and then a dotted 8th apart.
We actually did Violin Phase on the chamber series probably 15, 20 years ago now. Awesome. Was Ligeti, was he influenced by the American minimalists and the phase shifting, or is that an innovation on his own?
Really good question. I do need to look that up, but I have a hunch that maybe he was. I could be wrong, but it is so much like the Reich in terms of that rhythmic profile, but I would not be surprised.
Interesting. So as we talked about a little earlier, Chatter performs a great eclectic menu of music, and as you mentioned, you're working your way through a lot of the bigger pieces of Ligeti. So we've just been talking kind of technically about the music. When you play this for audiences, how do people normally respond to his music? What is the feedback you normally get from folks?
I mean, when we did the Hamburg concerto, it was remarkable. I think we had 2 sold-out houses, and I think people were fascinated by it. I always like to say Ligeti was really quite a mad scientist, and the novelty and experimentation which he did. This piece, by the way, is very different than the pieces he wrote in the 60s and 70s, which were really avant-garde and really, his piece with the 100 metronomes, Poem symphonique, really influenced like the chamber concerto and pieces like this. But he changed. He did different things as he got older. I know this piece was written, I think, in the 80s or early 90s. Maybe it was published.
It was written in the early 80s, revised after.
And it's definitely more conventional than his early pieces, but it still contains the hallmarks of experimentation. And like I said, like that mad scientist trying new things, new novelties, also looking at what the instruments are capable of in terms of, as the horn, the harmonic series, the violin too, and what the violin can do, and trying to work with those kind of things. So,
I mean, audiences have loved hearing not just the extreme technique of it, but all the different sounds, sounds that they really have never heard before. And especially coming from the horn, we have the ability to use these different intonation intervals in the harmonic series. And Ligeti was so brilliant when he wrote for this instrument that everything in the score is playable. And as you know, if you play a lot of new music, you'll often encounter things that are just technically not possible because the composer just maybe didn't know that it maybe they thought it was possible, but it isn't. Everything that Ligeti writes is theoretically possible.
It's definitely at the extreme edge of playability as well, but it doesn't go past unplayability. It doesn't go to the realm of unplayability. And it makes us, at least makes me as a performer just so excited to try to achieve it, because I know it's possible, but it takes a lot of work and a lot of working out, actually.
Judy, how do you feel about it in terms of him stretching the frontiers of the piano technique?
I can't really separate the technique from just the character of the piece. And I think that everything he's asking us to do, whether it's really play in very far apart registers or play exceptionally fast or slow, it's always because of some kind of expressive imperative. And so for me, that helps me just not be like up a tree about how hard I have to practice.
Well, and I guess we covered a lot of bases here, and I think everyone's looking forward to hearing the performance and hearing what you have to say from the stage as well. But I guess as we wrap up this conversation, I'd love you to say a little bit more about how this piece fits into the overall program and what maybe you hope audiences take away from this collection of works.
Well, the Abrahamsen trio was written for a concert by a Danish horn player in 1984 who performed the Ligeti and the Brahms and Abrahamsen on the same program. So I'm not ready to climb that hill yet, but this particular Danish hornist set himself an incredible task and had these three pieces paired together. So the Abrahamsen has also a lot of incredible sounds for all three of us to make, and ends with this beautiful kind of dissolving movement called For the Children that's also at the extremes of the violin. Unlike the Ligeti, at the end of the Ligeti, I'm playing 5-6 octaves below David.
Oh yeah,
something like
the
that.
Same pitch,
this pedal note, and he's way up in the stratosphere.
Or maybe I think a second apart. Or, it's insane.
And at the end of the Abrahamsen, I don't have to play, which is nice.
It's theoretical.
And let's see, the Glass is just an incredible piece. Do you want to say some words about that?
The Glass, yeah. Judith and I have performed it quite a bit, and it's got the hallmarks of Glass's, tonal language and minimalism, but it's actually hardly minimal. Would you say?
I would say it's maximal.
It's really
very
maximal.
Romantic. And just to speak to the original concert of this Danish guy, in a way, the Glass is sort of the Brahms of the program. And I love that we're having the two segments of the program open with a really romantic, tonally graspable on first hearing sound world from which the other pieces kind of
sets up the other pieces,
the Glass is absolutely.
I think Maestro Glass would be over the moon to hear that he is the Brahms of the program. That is some pretty high praise.
I hope you'll agree. I just think that piece is so beautiful. It
really is. I mean, the tonalities are so rich, and they change. It's not, the whole minimalist ideal of slow change over time. This is a lot of change over time, but the rhythm, it's similar in the rhythmic. The rhythmic outline of it is very glassy and, sort of a motoric kind of rhythm, but it's really a beautiful piece.
So good.
It's really, really great. Yeah.
But while we're talking about it, I just suddenly had this idea that the two trios, they're like siblings, and one, and I'm not going to say which one I think, but one is the more sort of esoteric, like cerebral, cool one, and the other one is the very expressionistic, kind of fraught one, a little bit. And I really love working on them together for that reason. So hopefully that will be something compelling.
Well, it's going to be. So we get the concerts are on May 30th and 31st. We'll get to hear the versatility of the trio, the versatility of the instruments working together. Thank you guys for taking time out of your rehearsal day today to talk with me. We look forward to these concerts coming up, and have a great show.
Thank you, Robert.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.